A common practice used by Nintendo in Zelda games is to conceal the more mature and darker themes within backstories and making the player read between the lines. This is appropriate for a kid-friendly franchise. However, in the spirit of Halloween, and the fact that I'm a mega Zelda nerd who spends all his free time overcomplicating Zelda lore, I'm going to take a deep dive into the backstory from one of the creepiest Zelda games to date, Majora's Mask, and more specifically the origin of Majora and the Fierce Deity. There's already plenty of theories regarding the backstories of these two characters, but screw it. I'm going to propose a new, darker theory than any other I've seen out there on the interwebs. I'm your host Andy, and welcome to Zeldom's Halloween Special. Little is actually known about the origins of Majora and the Fierce Deity, making their mystery even more interesting. In order to discover the detailed backstories of these two masks, I'm going to have to do some reverse engineering and start with what we know. After Link's first 3-day cycle in Termina and retrieving the Ocarina of Time, he meets once again with the Happy Mask Salesman. After figuring out Link did not obtain the mask, he freaks out and tells Link the following. The mask that was stolen from me. It is called Majora's Mask. It is an accursed item from legend that is said to have been used by an ancient tribe in its hexing rituals. It is said that an evil and wicked power is bestowed upon the one who wears that mask. According to legend, the troubles caused by Majora's Mask were so great the Ancient Ones, fearing such catastrophe, sealed the mask in shadow forever, preventing its misuse. But now, that tribe from the legend has vanished, so no one really knows the true nature of the mask's power. There's two important details to focus on here. The first and more obvious is that the mask innately has mysterious and immensely dark powers. We can tell what the Happy Mask Salesman said about the mask's power is true, because we see the mask possess the innocent Skull Kid, and give him enough dark power to shatter the great fairies across Termina, transform Kafei from an adult into a child, and even causing the apocalypse. The second thing that seems important to pay attention to is this unknown ancient tribe who supposedly used this dark power within Majora's Mask for malicious rituals. Now we're led to the question, who was this ancient tribe? I've seen many other fans theorize that this ancient tribe is actually the group of dark interlopers mentioned during Twilight Princess that were banished to the Twilight Realm. To a degree, this does make some sense. The dark interlopers were a group that had become corrupted by their desire for power and learned to use powerful black magic to establish dominion over the Sacred Realm. Ultimately though, they were banished to the Twilight Realm, which could explain why the ancient tribe the Happy Mask Salesman spoke of mysteriously disappeared. In Twilight Princess, it's also established that one of their relics that embodies their dark magic is the Fused Shadow. If we inspect the design of the Fused Shadow, we notice that the eye on it is identical to the design of the eyes on Majora's Mask.
Coincidence? I think...
Actually, it might be a coincidence. Just because the designs of the eyes are the same, and there are holes around the mouth area, everything else is completely different. Everything made by the Dark Interlopers and the Twilight are smooth, with more complex designs, and the only colors used are black, red, and the sci-fi green. In contrast, Majora's Mask is covered with spikes and has a wide variety of bright colors. Additionally, there can be many other explanations for the disappearance of the ancient tribe, so the banishment of the interlopers isn't necessarily evidence. Also, since I just published a video justifying the events of Majora's Mask were actually a dream of Link's, I'm looking to find a solution that could be valid regardless of if the events of the game are real or not. So if the ancient tribe that used Majora's masks wasn't the Twilight, who could it have been? Before we continue, I'd like to point out that I make many theories similar to this one here at Zeldom, so if you're interested so far, go ahead, leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and enable notifications so you'll know when we upload more theories like this one. In the land of Termina, there is an ancient group whose history seems to align with the little we know of the ancient tribe, the Garo, a clan of shadow ninjas who were sworn enemies of the ancient kingdom of Icona. When in the presence of the Garo, Tattle tells Link, "I can't see it, but I sense there's a thirst for blood looming all around us." So far, it seems possible that the Garo could have used Majora's Mask with malicious intent, but we'll have to explore the deeper lore of the Garo before we can make any conclusions. The spirit of Igo Stu Ikana, the deceased king of Ikana, hints that this stone tower was built by the Garo as a fortress of operations and/or a house of ritual. This is also supported through the Garo Master, whom all Garo spies report to, lurking in the stone tower. How is the Garo's establishment over the stone tower relevant to Majora's Mask, you may be asking? Inside the stone tower temple is a rather important statue that resembles some sort of monstrous face with horns. However, once the gravity is reversed and we see the temple upside down, we can see what this statue truly depicts: Majora's Mask. Now that it's upside down, we can see the heart-shaped body with the spikes protruding from the bottom. Although a piece from the bottom of the statue's shape has crumbled, the cusp shape of the pathway perfectly completes the missing piece of the statue. If you think interpreting this statue as Majora's Mask is far-fetched, boy have I got news for you. There's even unmistakable images of Majora's Mask throughout the Stone Tower Temple. I think this is solid proof that the Garo spies not only used Majora's Mask, but made it a central component of their bloody omens. Now we've traced the history of Majora's Mask back to the ancient existence of the Garo, but there's still a mystery at large. The Happy Mask salesman said that the ancient tribe sealed away the mask in shadow to prevent catastrophe. We've concluded that the Garo was this ancient tribe, and that they utilized Majora's Mask and even idolized its dark powers. So why did they suddenly fear it and seal it away? They must have discovered what Link and Tattle did at the end of the game. The mask has a mind of its own. Somehow, the Garo must have begun to notice Majora's Mask hexing at its own will, rather than the intent of their rituals, and they realize they cannot control its power. Many masks in the game are told to contain the spirits of someone dead, and since Majora's Mask possesses its own conscience and black magic, it's more than likely that the mask contains the spirit of a powerful being. Now it's time to solve our overarching question: who is the spirit that inhabits Majora's Mask? To answer this, we will have to once again refer to the legends, but in this case, I'll refer to the legend of the four giants told by Andrew's grandmother, who looks so old she could have lived during the time period of the legend, just like the Queen! Anyways, here it goes. This tale's from long ago when all the people weren't separated into four worlds like they are now. In those times, all the people lived together, and the four giants lived among them. On the day of the festival that celebrates the harvest, the giants spoke to the people. "We have chosen to guard the people while we sleep. 100 steps north, 100 steps south, 100 steps east, 100 steps west. If you have need, call us in a loud voice by declaring something such as, 'The mountain blizzard has trapped us,' or 'The ocean is about to swallow us.' Your cries shall carry to us." Now then, there was one who was shocked and saddened by all of this. A little imp. The imp was a friend of the giants before they had created the four worlds. "Why must you leave? Why do you not stay?" The childhood friend felt neglected, so he spread his anger across the four worlds. Repeatedly, he wronged all the people. Overwhelmed by misfortune, the people sang the song of prayer to the giants who lived in each of the four compass directions. The giants heard their cries and responded with a roar. O imp, we are the protectors of the people. You have caused the people pain. O imp, leave these four worlds, otherwise we shall tear you apart." The imp was frightened and saddened. He had lost his old friends. The imp returned to the heavens, and harmony was restored to the four worlds. And the people rejoiced, and they worshipped the giants of the four worlds like gods. And they lived happily ever after. Or did they? The image displayed in the game implies that this imp from the legend was the Skull Kid. However, let's not take this at the surface level. The Skull Kid's story in the plot of the game does seem to align perfectly with the legend. He was friends with the four giants, but when they left he felt lonely and neglected. The Skull Kid is even reported to have pulled countless pranks on the citizens of Clocktown, also leading them to refer to him as an imp, the same term used in the legend. Despite these parallels, I don't think that this imp from the legend could be the Skull Kid. The legend is told to have occurred a very long time ago, So the Skull Kid would have to be either eternal or some sort of deity that can live forever to have survived eons without even aging. Like, come on, do we really think that this little guy is powerful enough to survive such a long amount of time? Plus, we know that the Skull Kids are native to the Lost Woods in Hyrule, since we see many of them there in Ocarina of Time, so the Skull Kid being the imp from the legend just doesn't seem to add up. Fortunately, the Skull Kid is not the only character that has a clear parallel with this legend. Majora, otherwise known as the spirit within Majora's Mask, also demonstrates a similar narrative. After Majora's Mask reveals to Link and Tatl that it has a mind of its own, and the Skull Kid was merely its puppet, it flies up into the moon and Link is transported with it. It becomes evident almost immediately after arriving on the moon that Link is in some sort of alternative reality formed under the influence of the mask. We can assume that the inside of the moon is an alternative reality, not just from the bizarreness of everything that occurs inside it, but also from the fact that some citizens in Termina claimed the moon did not have a face before. From this we can assume that the evil moon phase and the world inside the moon were formed through the power of Majora's Mask. Once inside the moon, Link finds himself in a beautiful field with a bright blue sky, and in the middle of the field is a hill with a lone tree. He finds 4 children running around the tree, each wearing the mask remnants of each of the monsters encountered in the game. Finally, he finds a 5th child huddled in the fetal position against the tree wearing Majora's Mask. When spoken to, this child asks, "Everyone has gone away, haven't they?" and follows up by slowly asking, "Will you play with me?" Here Link isn't just speaking to some creepy child inside an illusory realm. He's speaking directly with Majora, who is subtly conveying their true emotions. We can tell from the quote, "Everyone has gone away, haven't they?" that Majora feels, or felt, lonely and abandoned. But wait, is it possible that the imp described in the Legend of the 4 Giants was actually Majora instead of the Skull Kid? We know Majora is a powerful being, so it makes sense that it could have existed in the ancient times. The impressions of abandonment conveyed by Majora on the moon could have been caused by the 4 Giants. We also know that when the Skull Kid shattered the Great Fairies and transformed Kafei into a child, he was under the influence of Majora's Mask. Therefore it was actually Majora who was wronging these people, just as the legend says. And on top of all this, there's an official piece of artwork from Majora's Mask 3D that shows the 4 Giants around the child on the moon wearing Majora's Mask. At this point, I think we've uncovered enough information to conclude that Majora was the imp from the Legend of the 4 Giants, but once again we're left with another question. How did he become a mask? In the legend, the people cry out to the giants to save them. The giants awaken and threaten their old friend for causing so much pain to the people, telling him to leave the world, otherwise they will destroy him. The imp is then struck with fear and even more sorrow and is said to have returned to the heavens. But is this really what happened? Because if this is true, then where did Majora's Mask come from? As far as we know, there is only one way to turn spirits of people into masks: the Song of Healing. When the people of Termina cried out to the giants for help, they must have faced a dilemma. It was their duty to protect the people, but at the same time, this imp causing the chaos was their friend. Rather than ripping the imp, aka Majora, apart like the legends say, I believe they try to save both the people and their friend by bellowing what we know as the Song of Healing. According to the Happy Mask Salesman, the Song of Healing is a melody that heals evil magic and troubled spirits, turning them into masks. There isn't a better example of a troubled spirit than Majora. He felt so lonely and hopeless that he couldn't help but let that unbearable sorrow turn into rage. When the giants sang this song for all of Termina to hear, I believe this healed Majora's sorrows and sealed his spirit and memories into a mask, Majora's Mask. However, there is no way that Majora was the only troubled spirit when the giants came to aid the people. Majora is said to have caused much suffering among the people, so it's more than likely that many people died as a result of his wrath, creating many troubled spirits. And this is where I believe the Fierce Deity comes into play. Very little is actually told in the game about the Fierce Deity mask. In fact, the belief that the Fierce Deity was an actual character is just an assumption since the other 3 transformative masks in-game contain the spirit of other characters. The only actual information given is from the one-sentence game description of the mask in a single gossip stone. This gossip stone claims that the Fierce Deity mask is a mask that contains the merits of all masks. This is rather ambiguous and can be interpreted many ways, but luckily the head director of the game, Aishi Aonuma, gave more specific meaning to this in an interview with Game Informer. When asked whose soul is inside the Fierce Deity mask, Aonuma said, "The best I can give you is just a suggestion. The best way to think about it is that the memories of all the people of Termina are inside the Fierce Deity mask. In order for the memories of people to be inside of a mask, their spirits also need to be sealed inside of the mask as well." As I mentioned earlier, it was the giant's duty to aid the people of Termina, and bellowing the Song of Healing for all of Termina was the solution to save both the people and Majora. And with all of the devastation caused by Majora, there must have been many people who had lost their lives, with many others suffering. When the giant sang this powerful melody, it not only healed Majora and sealed him into a mask, but also did the same for the deceased people of Termina who had been wronged by Majora. Rather than their spirits and memories all turning into a hailstorm of individual masks across Termina, it's possible that all of these troubled and even angry spirits amalgamated to form the Fierce Deity mask. With the combined spirits of all these people, the resulting amalgam of a spirit must have been powerful, and they all had one thing in common: they all had been destroyed by Majora's wrath. Whenever this mask is worn, the wearer could be bombarded with the memories of all the people Majora had inflicted, and could either develop a strong will to protect the remaining people from such a catastrophe, or become corrupted by the spirit's vengeance. This explains why the game suggests that the Fierce Deity mask's dark powers could be as bad as Majora. Finally, we've pieced together enough information and interpretations to come up with an origin story for Majora and the Fierce Deity. To recap, I'll tell it in the style of the Terminian legends. Eons ago, the inhabitants of Termina lived in harmony. Living among the people were the four guardian giants who had a small but powerful friend, an imp called Majora. However, when the giants decided to leave Termina and rest deep within each of the four regions, they failed to consult their friend Majora. After the giants were gone, Majora did not understand why his friends had left him, causing him to mourn. His suffering eventually turned into rage, which he then unleashed upon the people of Termina. If he couldn't be happy, no one else could either. Although Majora created chaos and caused mass suffering to the people, it saw itself as the victim. He lost what was important to himself and didn't know how to cope. In his anguish, the people of Termina cried out to the giants for salvation. The giants, needing to save the people, yet sorrowful of what had become of their friend, sang a song of healing for all of Termina to hear. The imp heard the song and found peace, transforming into Majora's mask. The troubled spirits who were victims of Majora's wrath were all merged together to form what became known as the Fierce Deity mask, an amalgamation of spirits with a desire to aid the innocent people of Termina, but also a dark spite against Majora. With peace restored to the land, the people celebrated and worshipped the giants like gods. However, as eras passed, the legendary Majora's mask was discovered and fell into the possession of the corrupt Garo, a cult of ninjas who dwelt in the shadows. This tribe learned of the power that resided within the mask and used it for their sinister hexing rituals. Meanwhile, Majora's conscience began to awaken and become corrupted while in use by the cult. Its memories of abandonment once again developed into endless rage. While the cult conspired to overthrow their enemy, the Kingdom of Icona, with their new godlike power, they soon were alarmed when the mask began acting at its own will. The Garo, now fearing the power they had idolized, sealed it away in an attempt to prevent the mask from causing catastrophe. Once again, the mask was lost, until one day, the mysterious Happy Mask salesman found it, and we know what happens from here. What do you think about this origin story? I definitely had some fun and went out on a limb, but I still think it's viable and vastly different than all the other theories out there. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and enable notifications. I make theories like this one all the time, so go ahead and check out some of my other theories like the ones right here. Thank you so much for watching, and happy Halloween everyone!